welcome to the final Divine Feminine video in this series, okay? In this month, we will touch on some more divine femininity, okay? But this series is ending today, like, we're talking consecutive episodes, okay, so to speak. And I kind of named this the Sacred Union for a really weird reason, okay? Now, we could say it's the union of the two, but I don't believe them to be two things that have become a union. I believe that they just are. You are both masculine. It's like one sheet of paper, right? And one side's masculine and one side's feminine, but you're essentially this one magical piece of paper, okay? But I named it this because we're going to start this video talking about the creation story, all right? And I've got some reference materials here. Y'all know me, okay? And we're going to start with, okay, I did not name this as a Divine Feminine book in my intro because this is just a book that I pull out and flip through when I'm wanting to know when I'm in that I want to know something mode. Not just Divine Feminine, but about anything, okay? And it's signs and symbols. And I think I did mention one of these type books in my Books That Kiss My Soul, because if I have a question or if I get, remember we were talking in the last video about intuition, right? And if I get those symbols right, we're talking synchronicity or coincidences, either or I'm just getting, bombarded with these like collective unconscious images, I'm gonna look through them in here, okay? And this goes through everything. It just jam packs, okay? Each section is about, just these 2 pages, this and this. But they brown sugar pack the stuff in here, okay? I love that about this book. Now, they have their own creation process setup, 2-page setup, okay? Now, we're going to start there. Now, I want you to actively think about how you believe creation happened. But for the purpose of this video, I am only going to go through a couple. I'm not even really going to go through them. I'm just going to kind of talk about it. Now, people think that there are, creator gods? What is happening? Okay. There are 3 things that they list in here. Creation from chaos and or void. Okay, this is kind of like what I was talking about in logic, scientific creation through a sacred geometry way. Okay, remember that point of consciousness, then he becomes the sphere of consciousness to expand. He had to expand himself to the sphere, he, she, they, whoever, right? To keep blooming out the consciousness to make the flower of life, so to speak, okay? And what happened, okay? We can go on what happened with that, but the other ones are creation from separation, okay? The way I look at that, they took the creator, okay, or the creator, made something that was in and of itself an androgyne, okay? But then they split this into 2 things for the purpose of procreation, all right? Like Adam, he took his rib, made Eve so that they could procreate, right? And then the last one is creation through dismemberment. Okay, so you know those mythology stories where some body part is sinking into the ocean and then another deity is born? That type of thing, okay? That's 3 examples of the creation story. And you have your own belief about how we and everything came about. You do. But like I said, for the purpose of this video, we're just going to kind of talk about creation as a whole. And I want to talk about creation with separation, because I feel like that word separation is where the division happened, right here in this story. Now let's go back to the Adam and Eve story, okay, of creation. Now, if this whatever, this all made Adam, okay? Adam had to be an androgyne to have a rib that made Eve. Go with me on this, people, okay? So, God split Adam to make Eve for the purpose of procreation. But what happened with that? We have forgotten along the way that we were both, and we are both, okay? Essentially, we're trying, like, our journey has been working and doing the work and putting effort on top of effort to do the split. And we feel like this, like we're these magnets really trying to do this, but we're trying to rip our own selves apart. Trying to polarize ourselves, trying to be overtly masculine or overtly feminine, or not even polarizing ourselves, just suppressing those parts of ourselves because we feel like that's how we're supposed to be. But why? These stories right here. Now, we can keep going on first man, first woman, but I don't want to, okay? That's why I call this the sacred union, because I'm not just talking about humankind in the terms of male versus female. I'm talking about this in terms of you having both in here, okay? Thinking about it in we think of it in Shiva Shakti, right? Okay, so if Shiva is out and Shakti is in, the energy within, right? Or you could just think of having both energies, again, kind of talking Kundalini here, both energies running up and down your spine, right? And you're just having to keep the energy flow going. Doesn't matter which energy, okay? You need to do the work and figure out, remember like I said last time, tracking your cycles, knowing when it is your masculine energy you need to put out and when it is your feminine energy you need to put out. It's knowing and doing the work for both. That's the sacred union, okay? Now we're going to put this aside. Now, I want to read something from one of my very favorite resource materials, and it's the Once and Future Goddess. I'm always loving to read in this book, and I love books that I don't have to read from cover to cover. I can flip through and go to something specific if I want, okay? But let's read this for a second. When a male child separates from his mother, he becomes isolated, alienated from her, and at the same time is also separated from that part of himself that was like her. Then, as Freud says, he begins to associate himself with his father, who is his only proper role model. So that boy thinks. Okay? Males do not simply discard the aspects of himself that they shared with their mothers before their enforced separation, but later on, after separation, those parts must be disclaimed or repressed, fought against, and if need be, distorted completely until they are unrecognized. That is very sad, okay? This is thinking in terms of the hero's journey, okay? And I think she's kind of being tongue-in-cheek with Joseph Campbell a little bit, okay? Who came up with that idea. But if you think of the hero's journey, right, it's a circle, continuous circle. And the hero is a man, okay? He has both energies, but he believes, okay? He's been with his mother, right? There's this mother and child. And the boy believes that in order to be a male, he has to go on this journey. I believe that you do have to have the separation. But along the journey, it says that you have to disembody those female qualities. That cannot be true. You do not have to do that to be a male. Okay? You do not have to do that to be any gender. I don't believe. Now, we all have our own journeys. So let's think about this in terms of just you, whoever the hell you are. And you do have to separate from your mother, okay? And then you're going along and you have obstacles and life and all that, and it's a continuous circle, right? But you end up back at your mother. Why? Because along the way, inevitably, you have forgotten and or repressed those qualities that you're just like, oh, that's not me. Oh, that's not how I'm supposed to act. Oh, that's this. And all that shit is getting shoved in the shadow, right? But then when you get back to your mother, what happens? According to Freud, he marries his mother. Not in an inbreed way, he meets a woman that's just like his mother. Why? Because he's remembering those aspects of himself that he's repressed along the way, and he found those in her, thus completing the circle. Now, throw labels out. Throw those all the way out, okay? That right there, that hero's journey, and the fact that this man thinks he has to be a man and go on the journey, but then along the journey, he also believes that to become the man, somewhere along the journey, he has to repress the feminine aspects of himself. Essentially cutting the cord from his mother, okay? Remember, we kind of tell that to the men children in our lives. But on to just people in general. If you get on this journey, okay, and you do repress and, try to label the aspects of the yourselves that make you you, and you forget that, okay, I think that completing that circle and starting anew, the completion is where you're eventually going to grow out of thinking this and this and this is how I'm supposed to be, and you just are. And then eventually you will find things out about yourself at the very end of the circle that will complete you. What that means to me is that at the end of this circle, you no longer give a shit whether you're acting like yourself or not. You just are going to act like yourself. That's what I get from that, okay? Now, I want to talk about the energies again, okay? And let's get back to sacred geometry with this. Now, there's a sphere of consciousness, right? Now, you, as a human, okay, you know that you have to have something else to bounce off of to expand, right? You can't just sit there and blob. You're just going to sit there and blob like this, so you need something else. And what happens? There's these two circles, okay? Essentially, that's you, okay? That's your feminine and your masculine energies. But remember, go back to my sacred geometry video. Those circles aren't separate. There's a Vesica Pisces in the middle. That's where you are. You are both. You are light. You are everything. Right here in this Vesica Pisces. They're not separate. These energies aren't separate. Okay? And think about, let's go back to the creation story for a second. If you as a person are separating yourself, and you do it this way because you think you've got to eradicate, you never will, but you think you have to eradicate certain qualities of yourself that you think don't make you you, okay? And you do this, essentially. But if we were to turn that around and think of it in terms of the Vesica Pisces, then instead of doing this when we separate ourselves, do this. There's going to be and needs to be some separation there, but not wholeheartly. Don't completely eradicate this half of the circle that makes up you. Because then what does that do? That in turn is a suppression and is an oppression. And then you're just going to go through life feeling like you've got 10,000 bricks on your shoulders because you're not really yourself. And then because you don't and you're not yourself, you don't know how to be yourself with other people. Therefore, you're not expanding. You're not. You are just a sphere bouncing here. Actually, you're half a sphere and you're just bouncing in your own void. Okay? We as humans want to connect. We want to thrive. We want to expand. Okay? But we have to become the Vesica Pisces to do that. So instead of separating like this, separate like this. Now I want to tell you what doing this does. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. Okay? I want you to imagine yourself as a beautiful mason jar. Okay? All of us have red and blue marbles in our divine mason jar. And I'm just using these colors for lack of anything else that came to my brain. But we all have red and blue inside. Those are our masculine and feminine energies in this divine jar that is us. Okay? Now, my red versus blue count is different than everyone's out there. And that's okay. What did I say in the last video? Number 5. Knowing you are you, knowing you are unique. Right? I want everyone to look at their jar and know that's me. No matter how many blues, no matter how many reds, no matter how much femininity or masculinity I have, no matter what, that is a burning ball of energy, and I'm not going to touch it because that's who I am. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to continue to shine it and buff it up, but I'm not going to do anything to the energies that are inside because that makes up me. That's essentially all that light that's in this Vesca Pisces. What are you trying to do? You're trying to separate the circles. And what is that going to do? Eventually, this circle is going to just disappear, okay? And then you're just sitting here like this, floating in this void, not expanding. And that's a hard thought. To me, that's harsh, okay? And that's a harsh way of looking at it. And please know that these are my opinions on what these energies are, what they've done, what society's done, what you're doing to yourself. Even if you think that I've got to pull out this red marble because it just doesn't feel right, okay? That's different, okay? You doing the work for you and self and soul, okay, is different than you doing it for someone else, doing it for society, okay? There's a big difference there. So knowing the difference, knowing the work, knowing what makes up your jar, no matter what the combination is, it makes up you. You're keeping all of it clean. You're keeping all of it spit shined. Okay, yes, you're doing the work. You're keeping shit out of the shadow. Stuff's always going to be in the shadow, people, but you're doing shadow work, right? You're doing light work, whatever. You're just keeping the jar shiny and new. You're not letting it, you're not trying to cut shit out of it, okay? That's the purpose, to me, of the divine union. Knowing we have both, keeping those energies in our, we're not keeping in our jar. Don't think of it that way, okay? But essentially, okay, we're just trying to move our energy around to be the best possible person we can be. And I think that that's what's important. Okay? That's in here is what's most important. Remember in the other video I was talking about eating your own skin. If that's what it takes for you to feel 100, do it. If you keep eating away at your jar, there's no marbles in there. You're not 100. You keep putting labels on everything. And you're like, oh, that's labeled. I must have to take that out. That's harsh, people. That's harsh to yourself, okay? So, okay. Before I start crying, again, we're going to do a visualization again, okay? And today, we're going to do a tarot spread. And today is a 2-card tarot spread, 2-card oracle spread. All right? And I'm going to use the other 2 decks that I named in the first video, which is the Minoan Tarot and this beautiful Goddess Knowledge cards, okay? And I wanted to state one thing, okay? When we think in terms in divine feminine, I use a lot of goddesses in this series, right? The goddess archetype, you know, we pulled out some goddess decks. Why do you think that is? Okay, I believe that, okay, if you look at a picture of a god or a goddess, either one, they're going to be beefed the hell up. I feel like if you have to see a beautiful goddess painting to be able to kind of pull and awaken whatever energy out, god or goddess, and you feel like that image is stimulating something, that's okay, that's good, right? So that to me is something different than labeling it, okay? But essentially, there's a difference between labeling and healing images, okay, folks? But I feel like the reason we use goddesses, and we like to use goddesses, and we like to use gods even, when we're working with these energies, is because they're great images to work with, and because of those images, some, and we're all different. We all like different types of art, right? But whatever makes us have that visceral reaction, that's going to awaken that energy, right? Whichever one we're working with, okay? We just happen to be working with the divine feminine, people. But I've already shuffled it before this video, but we're going to do it like this. This deck is humongous. So like I said, it's going to be a 2-card tarot spread and a 2-card oracle spread. Now, the first is, what is my masculine energy trying to tell me today? And then number 2, what is my feminine energy trying to tell me today? Now, instead of just one clarifier with those 2 cards, okay, because we're working with both today, people, I want to pull 2 clarifiers, one for each, the masculine, and then one for the masculine and one for the feminine. All right. Now, working with the Minoan, this feels very civilization-esque, right? And I wanted it to remind me of a time before time before time when it didn't freaking matter who was on the throne, okay? These are just people, we're just doing the work, and we're happy about it. And I feel like this deck really, it did call to me on an intuitive level to work with it in terms of both energies, because I can feel the divine feminine in this deck so much, especially when I use it for those readings specifically. But then it does, the civilization itself, the Minoans, feel very equal, okay? They feel very, like there really isn't a higher, deity than the other in terms of energy. I feel like they were all doing the work, they all had a part to play, and they were all essentially the circle, okay? No matter what. And that's important. That's what we're talking about today. And then I'm going to use, okay, so I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to lay them down over here and then show you. But then I've got this. Now, all of these are goddesses, okay? And the reason I chose to work with this is because whether they're just goddesses or not, I feel like the message that they're going to portray for each, the feminine and the masculine energies, we can kind of tie in and see what it says, right? Because even if it's like the card for masculine, we can plug in and see what it's trying to say, okay? But we're just going with it, people. It smells so old. This deck is so old. Okay. Let's pull some cards. I feel drawn to just kind of shuffle it this way. I think one thing I don't like about this deck is that some of the cards are landscape and some of them are portrait. I wish that they would all be the same. Can't help that, can I, people? Okay. I'm down. All right. First card. Second card. We got 2 court cards of the same suit. That's insane. Like I said, we got 2 court cards from the same suit. And I've got the little bitty guidebook out because, like the last video, I kind of want to tell you what Ellen says about these cards so that if you have different interpretations about what my reading says, then your mind can go off on that, okay? So, what is my masculine energy trying to tell me today? Sea worker. Look at that. He's so beautiful. It's my masculine energy, right? He's just a sailor. Now, messages from sailor. Okay, this guidebook she kind of goes on the description of the card a little bit and then goes on to little bitty thing says message from whoever it is, okay? Now I'm going to read it. Confident is the only way to start out. Check that your tools are still serving you. You may need an upgrade or repair. Consider small or large ways to bring more adventure into your life. Well, if that's not my masculine energy, I don't know what is. Okay? I am doing the work, right? I'm doing the sailing, but I really need to make sure all my tools are still serving me. I need to kind of put some oil in the cogs, right? And make sure that everything's running right. That's definitely a masculine quality that I need to be possessing in this moment, okay? Second card is the Sea Priestess. She's so beautiful. I love her. Now, in this card, Ellen says that she is on the sacred boat. I love how they're both on boats. Again, unity. Woo! Okay? But she's on this beautiful boat, and she's trying to bring a water, like a, it's like an altar. So she's kind of bringing, I love this because she's bringing a vocation up to this altar right here of water or whatever, like a sacrifice up to this altar. And so she's very much doing the work, right, of this, of like the divine. Okay, so she's going up to this mountain to be closer to the divine. Woo, if that's not feminine energy, I don't know what is. Now I'm going to read you the message from the Sea Priestess that Ellen wrote. Rejoice, for mystery is at hand. Ooh, go on some intuition with this. Consider your role in the sacred story playing out in your own life. It is time to take the journey. Oh, seriously? Okay. How good was that reading? So, masculine and feminine. Okay? And it worked out so weird that they're both from the same suit, right? I mean, it's crazy. That's solidifying to me the fact that these are both within me. And of course, I need to be doing the work of both because they're one. Ooh, all right. Now, I'm going to shuffle again because I'm getting called to do that. Okay. And I'm going to lay down 2 of these cards. And we'll read a little bit on what the back says because there's some information on the backs of them. And really want to get to clarifications, right? We got some juicy information with that reading, but just for sake of visualization for this tarot spread for you guys, we will pull 2. Okay, so masculine, okay, and feminine. I think that's landscape. Yeah, that's landscape. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, masculine. We got Hathor. Ooh. Okay, a great mother goddess. Remember we were just talking about separating from mother? Okay. She is the Egyptian mother of all gods and goddesses. Usually portrayed as a cow, she's a sky goddess, the queen of the heavens. The sun emerges from her womb and the moon from her breasts. Okay? She's both. Hathor is a strong embodiment of many sides of existence. Creator, sustainer, destroyer, she encompasses all. And she reminds us that we must accomplish all parts of ourselves, that what we might call disruptive is sometimes necessary to allow our creativity and compassion to flourish. And I'm probably going to get choked up with that too because this is her message. Hathor's message is that we are all, okay? We are all parts of ourselves. We must acknowledge that. And what may seem destructive, okay, is sometimes necessary. And that's a profound thought for the masculine. Okay. Ooh. Feminine. Themis. Okay. Look at this image. I can't tell. Yeah, it's this way. It's beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Themis is one of the oldest and most revered of the Greek goddesses. She's the daughter of Gaia, the earth goddess. Themis is the mother of the 3 fates. Ooh. She is prophecy, again with intuition, incarnate. Her oracles derive from her sense of order and connection to nature. Okay? Themis is a grounded earthly goddess who is also comfortable moving through the shifting mantric world of dreams. She is deep wisdom, familiar with both the depths of the earth and the height of the sky. A guide into soul. Okay, so we have the masculine energy telling me, make sure all my tools are ready and to utilize them. Because what I may think is disruptive and I might use my tools for isn't what I need, is sometimes necessary, but then sometimes I have to be able to do and be the whole. Okay, that's what these two cards are saying with the masculine. And then with the feminine, I am doing the work, right? But then I have to get to the divine. I have to get to the divine and get into self. So that's both of these. She's going up to the hill to be closer to the divine, okay? And her own divinity within that right there. And then Themis is telling us to come into soul. Maybe I should go into soul once I'm on the hill, right? That was a great reading. Now, I've done something fun today for our last video. I've left this 4-card spread in a file for you to download, but along with that, I have made a coloring sheet. Now, I have drawn this freehand on paper and scanned it in, okay? So it's probably not going to be a Crayola coloring page, but I really wanted this to be hand-drawn. I really wanted to think about it, okay? You don't even have to color it. Just paste it somewhere in your handy-dandy notebook and go to town. I've put some affirmating words on there, and I'm just not going to explain it because I want you to be surprised. But I feel like this whole month has just been so enlightening, and I feel so empowered just for the work that we've been doing with the tarot and with the archetypes and integrating them. And I just feel so blessed that I got to come on here and have an active voice for the month of January. Like I said, I'll continue on this journey myself, and maybe some videos along the way with that. But I'm glad I was really able to stick with it and blast 2020, first month in 2020, with some really divine feminine stuff. And I'm so glad that you came on the journey with me. So I hope everyone has a good day.